You are listening to the Hire Fast podcast. Today's episode is the Rockstar Journey. In this episode, I will talk about the secret to engaging your people, what it took me 28 years to learn about people, what skills our people don't have and what we can do to fix it, what is a continuous improvement framework, why is the answer to employee retention a great customer service experience, and how can we shield ourselves from competitors poaching our best people? As my daughter would say, this is lit. Let's go.
The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Hire Fast podcast, a podcast aimed at educating you on hiring the right person for the right job and keeping them. Are you sick of spending precious time and energy hiring and training people just to have them turn around and quit? Then join Alan and his guests on Hire Fast as they teach you how to skillfully motivate and attract rockstar talent. Now here is your host, Alan Daviduk.
Hello, welcome to the Hire Fast podcast. So today we're going to be talking about rockstar talent, retention, and the rockstar journey and what that means. So a while back, I told you a story about an experience I had when I was a kid. My first experience when I was part of a team, and the leadership at the restaurant, which was my dad at the time, was super empathetic when an employee called out. And it was a crazy story. It was so over the top, it didn't even make sense, right? And without question, my dad was like, okay, right? And it took me a long time, years, to unpack exactly what happened in this moment. So the story, I'll just quickly brief you, it was about this guy named Herman, and Herman never missed work. Like in a blizzard, Herman got to work. And this particular day, Herman called out. Well, he didn't call out. Let me correct that. He said, I'm going to get there, I just don't know when, because I'm stuck in a phone booth and there's a bear outside. And my dad didn't even flinch. My dad's like, okay, it's Herman. It has to be true. So do you have people on your team that you believe to that level? Think about, what your actual thoughts are when someone calls in. Do you believe them? Do you not believe them? Is it genuine? Do you have that same type of connection that no matter what they say, you believe it because it's them? And can you imagine a world where you have that type of interaction with your team? So the reality of the Herman story is that story happened 32 years ago. It happened when I was a teenager, and I never understood it until now. So in between that 32 years, I've operated over 15 teams before I went out on my own and started my own brand, and I've managed 11 QSR environments, and I launched multiple national brand locations. And what it took me 28 years to realize is what an engaged employee really looks like, right? And what it meant to me, what it means to the team, what it means to the customers, and that word engage, what it really, really deeply means. So I want to introduce you to a girl named Kaylee. Kaylee works for me. Now, Kaylee, a couple of years ago, when she worked for the other company she worked for before coming to me, she had a boss that didn't support her. Little connection with her coworkers. She felt like she was dumped on. What the manager of the location used to regularly do is schedule himself with her to open, and then he wouldn't show up or be late. And he would kind of dump everything on her. And he never recognized her. He never said thank you. It was just, oh, sorry, I'm late, right? And he actually, in some instances, was worse than the employees. And anytime she got frustrated, he basically treated her as indispensable, and said to her, well, if you don't like it, then leave, right? So one day she did. And she was tired of feeling miserable, more miserable when she got home than she ever did doing anything else. So fast forward now, 2 years later, Kaylee works for me, and she's worked for me for almost a year and 9 months now. And she helps with so many aspects of the business. She recruits our new hires. She helps train our employees. She's our lead trainer. She loves the connection she has with the team. She volunteers if someone has an issue or needs help, calls out, she'll jump in and help them. She leads up our company communication tool. She's our marketing maven. She takes photos and Instagram pictures and makes TikTok videos of sexy donuts and does all this crazy stuff, right? we actually gave her a title, the head of making customers love us. So, think about the pivot, right? Think about what changed for Kaylee in that moment. What was the environment like? What kind of environment do you have? Do you have an environment like what Kaylee, where she came from? Or is your environment more like what my environment is that allowed Kaylee to flourish, right? What were the key drivers, right? It was the culture and environment, right? And think about the impact, the difference on the impact when her energy level was so low at where she worked before as opposed to working for me now, and how that funnels through to the guest, right? To the customer service. So one of the things I learned over 28 years was you really have to focus on your team. And once you focus on your team and they're the most important thing and you teach them the skills that they need, now the funnel down impacts your guest, right? And it makes your guest loyal. Your guest wants to come back. And all of this leads to the financial success that you're after, right? So I saw a quote one time and it said, people are your most important asset. And I half agree with it, right? So I would just alter that quote to say, people are not your most important asset, but the right people are your most important asset. So the only way for you to have predictable results like this in the areas of the three things we mentioned, talent, satisfaction, customer loyalty, to get you the financial success you're after, is to become a triple threat with the SMART system, right? So that's attract, develop, retain, and all of this leads to that engagement piece that we're after, what it took me 28 years to learn. This is what we've spent the last 15 episodes talking about. So in the 28 years, there were some things I was sick and tired of, right? I was sick and tired of doing the same old thing over and over again, what everybody else does. I was tired of hiring someone just to fit a position and not hiring them to grow my brand, right? Not hiring them to, with the mission that I was after, to fulfill that mission. When you drive a car, how do you drive a car? Do you grab the steering wheel and look at, you lean your head out over the hood and look down at the road? Or do you look up the road a half a mile down the road so you can react to something coming? Well, that's how you have to hire, right? And then you have to treat it the same way after the hire too, which is most important. All the guru guys out there, and we've talked about this in other episodes, will say things to you like, you got to do these three things, and then they go take the weekend off, right? We have to, the problem we have today doesn't just happen before the hire, it happens after the hire. And I'm going to continue to say that. So, we don't want what happens in the job boards anymore where, you hire all these people or you get all these candidates to come talk to you and then they ghost you, right? Or they quit, or even worse, they get poached, right? So what's happening today is we have this team of people that work for us, right? And we have, if we categorize all the people in our restaurant, we have one side where we have awesome people. It makes up about 10% of the people that we have. Then we have the bad people, right? Oh my God, why did I ever hire these people? They're on the other side of the 10%. And all the people in the middle, the 80%, the majority of people, we can't spend time with those people. We can't do the things that's needed to get those people to move into awesome because we can't work with them because we're spending 85% of our time with all the bad people. Right? These are the people that call in sick, have customer shortages. We get customer complaints from them. They make all the mistakes, the errors. All of this stuff happens there. So the reason it happens is because we have to transform our employees' behaviors, right? If we want to get what we need from people, we have to transform their behaviors, right? And we need to do it so they do it for more than a week, right? How many times do you see people and they do something for a week and then it goes right back to the way they used to do things? So I had this call one day, and I know I was being tested on this call because it really was hard for me to hold myself and hold my composure. But I had this girl, she was calling out. It was 4 o'clock today. She was calling out for 6 a.m. tomorrow. And I said to myself, okay, well, I don't really understand why I'm even getting this call because whatever it is that you have to do, I guess her boyfriend hit his head or something, and she was going to take him to the hospital and make sure he was okay. He wasn't presenting anything. She just wanted to make sure he was okay. Now, let me set the stage a little bit more, that she just had the last 2 days off, and she requested the 2 days after tomorrow off. So in 5 days, she was going to work 4 hours, right? This is like a bizarre story to me. But she was calling out. And I said to her, I don't understand. And it really hit me as I kept trying to talk to her and I got frustrated talking to her. She didn't have the skills. She didn't even understand. She just had a problem and all of a sudden it became my problem. Well, I got a problem, so I can't go to work, right? Now, we complain about entitlement and all these different things, but it really happened right in front of us so many different times. So I realized she didn't have the skills to handle this problem or do whatever was required, that this didn't even come to me. So I had to do something about it, right? Because if my kids were sick, I would do whatever is required. My wife would do whatever is required, right? No one would even know that it would happen. I would just take care of it, right? Most people, when they ask you, like, hey, how you doing? They really don't care, right? They just want something for you. They ask rhetorically, right? So they actually stop listening the minute you tell them. So think about this, right? If I had a problem where my kid was sick, the schedule wouldn't get done, right? Anything that was required to run the business, does it not get done, right? Or do I just do it, right? Imagine if the employees came in and I said to them, well, listen, I can't pay you because my kid was sick, so I couldn't process payroll, right? Sorry, my kid was sick, right? We don't have that option, but, the employees get to have that option, right? So all of these things, they're my problem, right? I take care of them. I do whatever's required to keep everything flowing the way it's supposed to. Now, we have employees that want to be paid a really good wage, right? Well, shouldn't it be their problem that they show up to work and do the things that they committed to, right? They asked for it. They wanted the job. And then all of a sudden, they give you the laundry list of what they can't do. So we need a way to manufacture engaged employees that have the skills to handle their own problems, right? So this is why I developed the Rockstar Journey. So the Rockstar Journey is a continuous improvement framework, and it has 3 parts: learn, live, and lead, and I'm going to explain what that is. But first, let's unpack this continuous improvement framework piece, right? Because a lot of people hear this and they're like, I don't know what that is. So it's a way of thinking differently about your business. You focus on the aspects of your business of where you need to improve. And in this case, my people don't have the skills, right? They're weak. They need to be stronger. They need to handle their own problems. I need them to grow and expand and get better. So if I don't do this, I'll never get the change that I want, right? So I asked myself, well, where could they do better? How could I achieve this? And it's all about the culture and environment, right? If I created a culture and environment where they wanted to come to work, they would fix these problems. They would not want to screw their coworkers over, right? They would want to fix it, right? They wouldn't want to dump things on people. And I don't need them to just do it once. I need them to do it over and over again, right? Don't just do it for a week and then give up because it's hard, right? But rather they demonstrate it and then they do it over and over again. So I want to focus on culture and environment consistently all the time, right? That way I can get the customer service that I'm after, that I demand. I want it to be ingrained into the DNA of the business. So the continuous improvement framework model was originally applied to the manufacturing industry. And I worked in the manufacturing industry for years. So its primary focus was really on the reduction of waste, the reduction of labor, how to really better utilize raw materials. But I remember one day I was in one of the plants and I said to myself, man, we could use this to make our people better, right? We could use this to change their behaviors, this simple type of thinking. And really what it's about is you apply pressure over a real long period of time. I call this tourniquet pressure. So like if you cut your arm and you put a tourniquet on, you don't just like squeeze it really tight. You do it real slowly until the bleeding stops. So I need a similar type system because I need results over a long period of time, not just 1-2 hits, then it goes away, right? So, I want people to not just get excited, and then go back to their old patterns, right? I need to give them a target to shoot for, right? You're going this way, and if you mess up a little bit, no big deal. You're still going this way, right? So I need to be able to course correct them. So I would say to people, listen, I'm going to create a path for you. This is how you get there. Listen, if you want something, all you have to do is go get it. If you want an apple on that tree, just go over, pick the apple, eat it. You don't have to come to me and ask me. All you got to do is do these things, right? And What I want is for you to continue to feed my mission, right? All the things that I'm after. And I stated up front, right? So I do this way in the beginning. I do this before people even start working here. I say, listen, this is what I need from you. Here's how we're going to do it. Here's what you have to do to get it. You either do it or you don't do it, right? There's never any surprises. So, and this happens in a lot of companies as we change things along the way. It's like almost like the road just moves under your feet. So another problem that I solve for, and how many times do you feel like this, right? You feel like that if you're not there, nothing happens, right? You're the catalyst. Nothing happens without you being there, right? And you feel like people just, they basically sit around. They're kind of lumps. They got no initiative, right? You know, I want to fix this. This is what I was after, right? I needed this one encompassing solution. So the answer is better, stronger people. So this is what I set out to achieve. And do you feel like, your people make excuses? Well, I didn't really know what you wanted, so I didn't know what to do. Well, that's why we're doing this. We're creating a plan that now you know exactly what I need you to do, right? It's a map. It's a journey. It's laid out for you. And here's the magic, right? It's a self-led journey. It's a self-evaluation. You do it all the time, every day. Your mind is focusing on it, the employee's mind. One of the things that I hated was we would do reviews in our business. And I never understood it. We would do a review this April, and then we wouldn't do it again until next April. So what if someone did something wrong in June? Right now, we got to wait for a whole nother year to talk to them about it. And then we would do some bullshit, like we'd give them a 10-cent raise. Like, it just, none of it made any sense to me. And then what ended up happening is we created this behavior where review meant raise to people. So people would just be like, oh, all I got to do is make it to there, and then I get a raise. Well, what if you're not doing what you're supposed to? What if, remember that chart I said where you had the good people, the bad people, the bell curve? Well, what if you're one of the bad people and you're calling in and you're not doing the things that you're supposed to? Why should you get a raise? Why? Because you've been here a year? Who cares, right? It's what you do. It's production. So what I did is I took the most important things that you need to demonstrate all the time and the mechanisms that I created that drives culture and environment. I spent 6 episodes talking about it. It's called CARE, right? And it's under, you got skillfully motivate, attract rockstar talent. It's under motivate. It's CARE. CARE is the culture and environment. Connection, affirmation, responsibility, and environment. So we set these as the principles and the pillars of the journey. So you may ask yourself, well, I don't understand. What is this continuous improvement framework model? How is it different from other management tools? Well, what's different about it is it's not concentrating on just one thing. It's concentrating on a whole bunch of things, right? In our restaurants, we're doing thousands of things all the time, right? So if we have problems that usually it took a while for these problems to happen, there's probably going to take 20,000 things to fix those problems too. So that's what this framework does, is it's focusing on a lot of things very lightly all the time, right? And that's where that pressure is that I talk about, that tourniquet pressure. So it improves your current processes in very small ways all the time, right? So you have ongoing improvement in your culture and environment all the time. If someone trips up, not a big deal. You just correct them, they keep going, right? But it's that constant focus that is stressed all the time. And that's what I mean by becomes part of your DNA, right? And that's how you have the edge over the customers. Over the competitors, my fault. So what we did is we created a journey, right? So the first leg of the journey starts right when the employee comes in. We teach them our culture. We teach them the environment. We teach them CARE. Whoop, Sari was saying something on my watch. So we start with training, and then we bring them. So when you climb a mountain, you don't just climb the mountain all the way. If you're going to climb Mount Everest, you go to different base camps along the way. So we did the same thing. We said, listen, how do you eat an elephant? You eat it one bite at a time. So we're not going to climb this mountain right away. We have to do it in small pieces. So we start with one leg of the journey. We start training people. We teach them the culture. We tell them what we expect, right? We give them some ample time to learn what it is, and we bring them into base camp. Then from there, we go to different summits. Now, this is where I had set up before that we have the live, the learn, and the lead. So the first step is learning, right? Learning is when you get to base camp. Now you've learned it. We've trained you. We taught you. We educated you on everything that CARE is. Now what I mean by learn is now you have to start doing it, right? Now you have to stick your toe in the water. You have to start actually demonstrating real time what you're doing. It's nice to sit behind a computer and talk about it, but now you got to start doing it, right? So employees need to learn the value of the culture of care, right? And what their role and responsibility is to their coworkers, to the guests, to themselves. Now, once they achieve Summit 1, and we bring them through that journey, they get a reward, right? They didn't do it for nothing. There's something in it for them, so we give them a compensation bump. Now they're going to turn, and now they're going to really live it, right? Now they're going to start to really live the culture. So they're going to go, now they have their sights set, and this is what I meant by the target. They have their sights set on Summit 2, right? And it's continuing the daily demonstration of care, right? Which takes a lot of practice, right? It takes practice to do this stuff, but it's self-led. By it being self-led, they're constantly aware of what they have to do and how they have to demonstrate. They're thinking about it. Hey, today I got to focus on this, right? And they get a compensation reward when they hit the next summit. Now, when they're going to the third summit, it's a lot harder. When you climb Mount Everest, there's this one zone. It's called the death zone. I don't even know how long it is, but it's not very far, but it's the hardest part to complete. Most of the people that die in that area. That's why they call it the death zone. So the last leg of the journey is the most difficult. So what happens in this leg of the journey, if you make it through there, these employees, when they make it through, now they're leaders. That's what I mean by lead, right? So they undertake this journey of personal growth, and they've continued to prove it along the way. Right? Care becomes part of their DNA, right? So when employees, they lead, right? It becomes the way they operate. It becomes how they do things. They do things automatically. Now, what also is a great side effect of this is that they become a resource for everybody else behind them, right? When you climb on a mountain, what normally happens? Somebody has to go up the mountain and set a rope so everybody else can pull on it. Well, that's what these leaders are doing. So the Rockstar Journey will help you develop and retain your employees so they never want to leave, right? Now, that's an easy statement to say, but there's a lot of components to achieve that. So why the Rockstar Journey path works, right? By integrating this journey, you reinforce your culture all the time, right? You keep your employees aligned with your goals and objectives. Right? Employees think now before they act. Before they call in or before they're late or before they do any of these things, they're thinking about it, right? Because we're constantly giving them a reward if they do the right things, right? So they know that there's a direct impact to their compensation if they don't do what they're supposed to do. So it builds accountability into the DNA of the organization. And what are we after? What is all of this after? It's after retention. Right? And we're going to retain people if we set them up for success. If we build their education, we'll better retain them. So there is another piece that happens that we noticed. So one of the strategies that happen to us in our restaurants and our operations today is our best people get stolen. They call it poaching. Well, by developing the muscles of our employees, it makes them unpoachable. So it helps shield and defend from these competitors that are coming in trying to steal our people. So the Rockstar Journey is for you if you want to shatter your old beliefs that your people won't change and that you're ready to see your people transform into uber productive employees that you need and want. In as little as 90 days, we've seen people turn around in 90 days through the Rockstar Journey, and it gives them a crystal clear guidance system. There's no more feeling of confusion of how they advance or will I be able to advance. The journey does it, gives them the path, the roadmap to success. So thank you so much for listening today. You can visit me at getsmartsystem.com. You can call me at 1-833-3SMART5. You can email me at alan@getsmartsystem.com. If you haven't already clicked subscribe or follow below, please do so we can keep you up to date with Hire Fast. Ciao for now.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.